Hello Year 12s and welcome to this, the second of two videos on management styles. There are three things that you need to do while you're watching this video. The first thing is to take the very best Cornell notes you can. The second thing is to use the pause and rewind functions. Use the pause function if you need to stop this video so that you can take notes. Use the rewind function if you've missed any information and you want to go back over that information. The third thing that you need to do is to have your vocabulary sheets handy in front of you so that you can include in those vocabulary sheets the definitions of any important terms as well as the definitions of any words that you may be unfamiliar with. Once you've finished watching this video, please read the pages of the textbook referred to on this slide, and if you find any information that is useful in that reading, then supplement your Cornell notes by including that information in your Cornell notes. Well, let's get started then. You'll recall that to be an effective manager, a manager must use a management style that is appropriate for most effectively managing the business and the employees of the business in any particular set of circumstances. In addition, to be an effective manager, the manager must have the skills that are necessary to most effectively manage the business and its employees in that set of circumstances. Different management styles require different management skills. In this video, we continue to look at different types of management styles. In subsequent videos, we will be looking at management skills. In class, we will be doing some activities which require you to identify and propose the management style that is most appropriate in different case scenarios and the management skills that the manager will require in those different case scenarios. Remember that there are two learning intentions for this topic, and you should already have written these in your Cornell notes. The first learning intention requires you to be able to analyse and discuss the different kinds of management styles. The purpose of these two videos is to assist you to achieve this learning intention. The second learning intention requires you to be able to evaluate the appropriateness of management styles for a range of business situations. You'll be able to achieve this learning intention by completing the tasks that I give you in class. In these two videos, we are looking at 5 different kinds of management styles. That is, 5 different approaches that can be used by managers to manage a business and its employees. In the first video, we looked at the autocratic management style and the persuasive management style. In this video, we are going to look at the remaining 3 management styles, which are the consultative management style, the participative management style, and the laissez-faire management style. You'll remember from the first video that there are 3 characteristics that are used to describe each different kind of management style. The first characteristic is the value that the management style places on employee contributions. That is, the extent to which the management style is task-oriented, in the sense that the management style is focused on achieving a particular outcome, or employee-oriented in the sense that the management style recognises the value of involving employees in decisions about how to achieve the best outcome. The second characteristic that is used to describe the different kinds of management styles is the degree of management control that the manager has under that management style. That is, whether the management style centralises authority and decision-making in the manager, or decentralises authority and decision-making so that authority to make a decision is shared between the manager and employees. The third characteristic that is used to describe the different kinds of management styles is the nature of the communication between the manager and employees when the manager is exercising that management style. That is, the extent to which the communication is either one-way communication, whether top-down from the manager to the employees, or bottom-up from the employees to the manager, or is two-way communication, where communication is both from the manager to the employees and from the employees to the manager. Remember that whenever you're asked to describe a management style, you must describe that management style using these three characteristics. I'll show you how to do this later on in this video. In this video, we'll be looking at the consultative management style, the participative management style, and the laissez-faire management style. You can see from this diagram that the consultative management style strikes a balance between being task-oriented and employee-oriented, whereas the participative management style and the laissez-faire management style are more clearly employee-oriented. That is, they more heavily emphasize the value of involving employees in decision-making. You can also see that there is a progressive reduction in management control, that is, an increasing decentralization of authority and decision-making as we move from a consultative management style to a participative management style and then to a laissez-faire management style. Finally, you can see that the consultative and participative management styles involve two-way communication, that is, communication from the manager to the employees and from the employees to the manager, whereas the laissez-faire management style tends towards one-way communication, that is, bottom-up communication from the employees to the manager. On this slide, I've set out a definition of the consultative management style. In your vocabulary sheets, look down the left-hand side, find the term consultative management style, and write this definition in there. The consultative management style is a management style that strikes a balance between task orientation and employee orientation, where the manager makes the decisions, but only after consulting with employees and taking into account employees' input. Once you've written this definition, in your vocabulary sheets, highlight the words in red, bold, and italics. These highlighted words refer to each of the three characteristics that are used to describe the different kinds of management styles. You can see that this definition expressly refers to task orientation and employee orientation. The reference to the manager making the decisions is a reference to a characteristic of this management style as being that there is a reasonable degree of management control and centralized decision-making. The reference to the manager making decisions after taking into account employees' input is a reference to a characteristic of this management style as being that there is two-way communication, that is, communication from the manager to employees and from the employees to the manager. If ever you're asked to define the term consultative management style, make sure that you include these highlighted words in your definition because, as I've said, these highlighted words refer to the three characteristics that are used to describe different kinds of management styles. Let's look in more detail at the three characteristics of the consultative management style. First, the consultative management style strikes a balance between task orientation and employee orientation. The consultative manager believes that task achievement is important, but balances this with an understanding of the importance of involving employees in the decision-making process. In other words, while the consultative manager is focused on achieving a particular outcome, the consultative manager also recognizes the need to include employees in decision-making. By consulting employees before the manager makes a decision, the manager will have the benefit of employees' input into that decision, and the manager will show that the manager values their employees. Employees who feel valued will be more motivated in performing their jobs and will be more satisfied with their jobs, which means that they are more likely to stay with the business rather than leave it. Second, the consultative management style involves a reasonable degree of management control and centralized decision-making. This is because even though the consultative manager consults employees before making a decision, And even though the consultative manager takes employees' feedback into account when making a decision, it is still up to the manager to make the final decision. It is in this sense that the consultative manager retains management control, and that decision-making under the consultative management style is centralised. The manager is not sharing the authority to make decisions with the manager's employees. Finally, the consultative management style involves two-way communication. That is, there is open communication between the consultative manager and their employees as part of the consultation process. More specifically, there's top-down communication from the manager to employees when the manager is explaining a proposed decision to the employees. There's bottom-up communication from the employees to the manager when the employees are providing feedback on the proposed decision. And there's top-down communication from the manager to the employees when the manager is communicating their final decision to the employees. On this slide, I've set out a definition of the participative management style. Please look down the left-hand side of your vocabulary sheets, find the term participative management style, and write this definition in there. The participative management style is an employee-oriented management style where decision-making is performed by the manager and employees working as a team, although the manager makes the final decision. Once you've written this definition in your vocabulary sheets, highlight the words in red, bold, italics type. These highlighted words refer to each of the three characteristics that are used to describe the different kinds of management styles. You can see that this definition expressly refers to this management style as being employee-oriented. The reference to the manager making the final decision is a reference to a characteristic of this management style as being that the manager retains the authority to make decisions, but decision-making is decentralized. The reference to decision-making being performed by the manager and employees working as a team is a reference to a characteristic of this management style as being that there's two-way communication. That is, there is communication from the manager to the employees and from the employees to the manager. So make sure that if ever you're asked to define the participative management style, you include in your definition these highlighted words. That's because these highlighted words refer to the three characteristics that are used to define different kinds of management styles. Now you may think that the participative management style and the consultative management style are very similar. And it's certainly the case that they're similar in that it is the manager which still makes the final decision. However, the main difference between the participative and consultative management styles is that decision-making under the participative management style is a team effort. And that's why including the words working as a team is so important in this definition. This is different from the consultative management style, where the manager simply consults with employees before making a decision. And a final word of warning. Many students, perhaps under pressure of a SAC or an exam, confuse the persuasive management style and the participative management style. As you're hopefully aware of by now, these management styles are very different, so don't make the mistake of confusing them with each other. Now let's look in more detail at the three characteristics of the participative management style. First, the participative management style is employee-oriented. The participative manager recognizes the valuable contribution that employees can make in the decision-making process by providing useful input. But more than this, the participative manager believes that involving employees in the decision-making process will show that the manager values those employees. And as I've said before, employees who feel valued will be more motivated in performing their jobs, which means that they'll work more productively, and will feel more satisfied with their jobs, which means that they are more likely to stay with the business than to leave it. Now, just because the participative manager values their employees doesn't mean that the participative manager is not concerned with achieving outcomes for the business. On the contrary, the participative manager does want to achieve outcomes, but thinks that the way to achieve the best outcomes for the business is to involve employees in decision-making and to treat those employees well. Employees who feel valued will have a greater incentive to work harder, and employees who are involved in decision-making will see themselves as being able to influence the success of the business, and so will feel that they have some responsibility for the success of the business. Put another way, employees who are involved in decision-making are more likely to share the objectives of the business because they are involved in shaping those objectives, and so will feel as if they're all working together in a common purpose. Second, the participative management style involves less management control than the three management styles we've looked at so far. And the participative management style also involves decentralized decision-making. As we've already seen, as with the consultative management style, under the participative management style, the manager still makes the final decision. However, the key difference between the consultative management style and the participative management style is in the degree of involvement of employees in the decision-making process. Under the consultative management style, the manager consults with employees about a proposed decision and might modify that proposed decision to take into account the feedback received from employees during the consultation process. However, under the participative management style, employees are much more heavily involved in the decision-making process. Under the participative management style, the manager and the employees work as a team to solve problems and make decisions. While the participative manager has the final say on the decision, the employees are closely involved in coming up with that decision. To draw a political analogy, in the consultative management style, the manager sits in a tent, comes up with a proposed decision, and then invites the employees into the tent to consult on that decision before sending them out of the tent so that the manager can make the final decision, taking into account the feedback provided by the employees. In contrast, in the participative management style, the manager invites the employees into the tent from the outset, and together the manager and the employees work at coming up with a decision. Although, because the manager is accountable to the business for that decision, the decision must be one that the manager is ultimately willing to take. Finally, the participative management style involves two-way communication, that is, open communication between the manager and their employees when they are discussing potential decisions as a team. You'll recall that the first learning intention for this topic is that you should be able to analyse and discuss the different kinds of management styles. To do this, you need to understand the advantages and disadvantages of the different management styles. And in this table, I've set out for you the advantages and disadvantages of the consultative and participative management styles. Now, this is important information which is directly relevant to one of the key knowledge points for this outcome. And so please copy this table into your summary books. Now again, when I say copy, I don't mean that you should just copy the words down without thinking. I want you to listen to my explanation and then describe the advantages and disadvantages in your table in words that make sense to you and that will help you to understand and remember these advantages and disadvantages. The first advantage of both the consultative management style and the participative management style is that employees are involved in the decision-making process. Under the consultative management style, the manager consults with employees before making a decision. Under the participative management style, the manager and their employees work together as a team in coming up with a decision. The disadvantage of this, though, is that consultation and teamwork is time-consuming. This is because employees might have a lot to say or discuss in these processes. Accordingly, neither of these management styles is likely to be appropriate where a decision has to be taken quickly or urgently. The second advantage of both the consultative management style and the participative management style is that because employees are involved in the decision-making process, they may provide a variety of ideas, which can lead to a better decision being made. However, one disadvantage of this is that employees may not understand the complexity of the problem being discussed. This is because while employees may be knowledgeable about the area of the business that they work in, they won't necessarily be familiar with other areas of the business or with the broader environment in which the business operates. In contrast, the role of a manager as someone who is responsible for several areas of the business and who must be familiar with the environment in which the business operates means that the manager is likely to have a more complete understanding of the problem. Another disadvantage is that employees may have different views which may lead to conflicts or disputes during the consultation process under the consultative management style, or when the manager and their employees are trying to work as a team under the participative management style. The third advantage of both the consultative management style and the participative management style is that, as we've already seen, because employees are involved in the decision-making process, they might feel more valued and so have increased motivation and job satisfaction. However, a disadvantage of this is that employees may in fact not feel valued if the decision ultimately taken by the manager does not reflect their views. And this, of course, might lead them to becoming demotivated and to lose any interest in their job. Now, another disadvantage is that some employees might prefer to be told what to do rather than to contribute to decision-making. Such employees are unlikely to engage productively in the consultation process under the consultative management style or in teamwork under the participative management style. An additional advantage of the participative management style is that because employees are more heavily involved in the decision-making process, those employees are likely to feel a sense of ownership and empowerment. This is an advantage because employees who feel a sense of ownership, that is, a sense of being responsible for the business, and employees who feel a sense of empowerment, that is, a sense of being independent and able to make decisions, those employees are more likely to be motivated to work harder and more productively, and are more likely to be satisfied with their job. A final advantage of the participative management style is that the use of this style demonstrates that the manager has trust and faith in the ability of their employees. If the manager didn't have trust and faith in the ability of their employees, then the manager wouldn't be prepared to work together with them as a team to make decisions. Again, employees who feel that their manager trusts them and has confidence in them are more likely to be motivated to work harder and so develop in their jobs. You now have 4 advantages and corresponding disadvantages of the consultative and participative management styles. Having summarized these, you should be in a position to comprehensively discuss the advantages and disadvantages of these 2 management styles. Now that must be worth at least 5 to 6 marks in a SAT, don't you think? On this slide, I've set out the definition of the laissez-faire management style. Please look down the left-hand side of your vocabulary sheets, find the term laissez-faire management style, and write this definition in there. The laissez-faire management style is an employee-oriented management style where authority and decision-making are decentralized so that employees are responsible for making decisions within broad boundaries set by the manager. Once you've written this definition into your vocabulary sheets, highlight the words in red, bold, italicized type. These highlighted words refer to two of the three characteristics that are used to describe the different kinds of management styles. You can see that in the case of the laissez-faire management style, it is employee-oriented, and that in terms of management control, authority and decision-making are decentralized. In addition, although you don't need to refer to this in your definition of the laissez-faire management style, the laissez-faire management style tends towards one-way communication, that is, bottom-up communication from the employees to the manager. Now, note that it is not correct to say that laissez-faire managers do not exercise management control. The fact is that laissez-faire managers do exercise management control. It's just that laissez-faire managers give employees more autonomy, that is, more independence, than other managers. That is, these kinds of managers set broad boundaries within which employees are free to make decisions. And that's the significance of the last couple of words in this definition, which refer to the employees being responsible for making decisions within broad boundaries set by the manager. So, for all of the reasons that I've just discussed, if ever you're asked to define laissez-faire management style, make sure that you include in your definition these highlighted words. Now, I note that in some cases the laissez-faire management style is also referred to as the free rein or hands-off management style. However, I'd prefer you to use the more common description, which is laissez-faire management style. Now let's look in more detail at the three characteristics of the laissez-faire management style. First, the laissez-faire management style is employee-oriented. This management style is one in which the contribution of employees to the business is clearly recognized. This is because under this management style, employees are responsible for making decisions about the business. It's different from the consultative management style and the participative management style, where employees are involved in decision-making with the manager. Under the laissez-faire management style, the employees make decisions by themselves. Now, this doesn't mean that the laissez-faire manager isn't interested in the decisions that their employees make. On the contrary, as we've seen, under the laissez-faire management style, the manager sets broad boundaries within which employees make their decisions. However, the laissez-faire manager believes that giving employees responsibility for making decisions will give those employees a sense of responsibility for the business and a sense of independence that will motivate them to work more productively. This is because giving employees this responsibility and independence is a sign of the trust and faith that the laissez-faire manager has in their employees. Second, the laissez-faire management style involves both decentralized control and decentralized decision-making. The laissez-faire manager sets budgetary constraints, timelines, and broad business objectives, but otherwise provides little direction to employees. Instead, within these broad boundaries, the laissez-faire manager's employees have authority to make decisions for the business. Finally, the laissez-faire management style tends towards bottom-up communication in the sense that most information, that is information about the decisions the employees make, is passed up from the employees to the manager. However, this doesn't mean that there's no communication from the manager to their employees. The manager needs to tell employees what the boundaries are around the employee's decision-making powers, and particularly if the employee wants it, the manager will assist the employee by sharing ideas about a problem that the employee is trying to solve, or indeed about a decision that the employee is trying to make. To help you to be able to analyse and discuss the laissez-faire management style, I've set out in this table some advantages and disadvantages of that management style. As I've said before, this is important information which is directly relevant to one of the key knowledge points for this outcome. And so I'd like you to include your version of this table in your summary books. The first advantage of the laissez-faire management style is that because decisions are made by employees with little involvement from management, employees feel empowered, that is, independent. Employees who feel empowered, that is, independent, are more likely to be motivated and to have higher levels of job satisfaction. However, there's a risk that this lack of involvement by management will cause some employees to lose directional focus or to feel unsettled. This is because management typically involves setting up a system of rules and procedures within which employees operate. However, in the absence of this system of rules and procedures, which is the case with the laissez-faire management style, some employees, particularly those who are less confident or less experienced or less skilled or who have less initiative, might feel lost and uncertain about what they should be doing. The second advantage of the laissez-faire management style is that it encourages employees to be creative and innovative. This is because employees are responsible for solving their own problems and making decisions. It's left to the employees to work out how to do this. However, again, a disadvantage of this is that the laissez-faire management style doesn't suit employees who are unskilled or who need structure. This is because such employees will prefer a workplace where there is a system of rules and procedures that they must follow. The final advantage of the laissez-faire management style is that it encourages teamwork and good communication, because employees are free to discuss their ideas with the manager and other employees. Indeed, under a laissez-faire management style, employees will have an incentive to discuss ideas with other employees because they are responsible for the decisions that they make, and they'll want to make the best decision possible. The best decisions are typically decisions that take into account a whole range of different viewpoints and different ideas. So you now have 3 advantages and corresponding disadvantages of the laissez-faire management style. This puts you in a good position to be able to comprehensively discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this management style. Well, that now brings us to the end of this second video in our series of 2 videos on management styles. You should now be able to analyse and discuss the consultative management style, the participative management style, and the laissez-faire management style. You'll be able to achieve the second of our learning intentions, that is, that you should be able to evaluate the appropriateness of management styles for a range of business situations by completing the tasks that I'll give you in class. Now, the final thing you have to do is to read the pages of the textbook referred to on the first slide, and if you find any additional useful information from those readings, then include that information in your Cornell notes. Thanks very much for your attention.